First off, this camera was huge. It took 2 rooms to hold it. One was the copy room. That's where you put the original picture in the copyboard and then rotate it vertical to the lens. You can move both of the lens and the copyboard to either reduce or enlarge the original. The other room was the back side of the camera. It was called the dark room. That room had only red lights on as to not expose the orthochromatic film, which was not sensitive to red light. That camera back had 2 doors. One door was a frosted glass pane like shown here. The knobs below will allow you to move the copy left or right or up and down. The other door on the camera back was for holding the film. There was a foot pedal you could press and turn on a vacuum to hold the film. In this shot you can see that large ring. That was the screen you used so you can turn a continuous tone original into a halftone, something you could print. When using some films, like pan films, there was no lights at all. You had to know the room by memory. Even the film had a feel to it so you can tell the emulsion side from the base side. Now's a good time to explain some difference in light. There's reflected light, which is what you see when light reflects off things, like when you walk in the forest during the day or look at a picture or a painting. And then there's transmitted light, like when you watch your TV. Reflected light consists of the colors cyan, magenta, and yellow, whereas transmitted light is either made of red, green, or blue. Just look at a printed picture or your television set with a magnifying glass and you'll see the difference. Here's a short film from 1947 to show you how far we have gone.
In photo offset lithography, the first step is photography. In color work, the photographer uses filters. The image is focused on a ground glass plate. Each filter lets in all but one color of light. Now, a sensitized glass plate is put in position for making a negative recording of one color occurring in the original. The plate is exposed according to a time chart and removed for developing and drying the emulsion. Different color filters are used to secure a number of negatives, one for each color necessary to be lithographed to produce an authentic reproduction. Now, other highly specialized artists take up the work of color correction of each plate to correct and supplement the work of the camera. With the original at hand, the color correction artist carefully studies the gradation of color values on the photographic plate, the plate that represents one color of the original. He strengthens or weakens the tone to achieve an end result that he knows will be faithful to the original. This requires ability to translate color values in terms of gray. Now, from the full tone plate representing each color, another photographer makes screen negatives in order to obtain printing texture. He prints through a fine screen to another sensitized glass plate. The screen effect has been made on this huge glass on which fine black-filled lines have been cut across at right angles. The plate is fitted against this screen in the right position to obtain proper dot formation. Such a screen, placed over solid masses and photographed, breaks them up into isolated, minute dots. The developed screen negative is examined by the photographer to see that his exposure and subsequent development have rendered dot values that properly reproduce the artist's tone values. These isolated dots, here shown magnified, are necessary for sharp impression. Solid tones would print smudgy and would prevent good reproduction of values. Next, another plate maker photographs a proof plate on sensitized metal from each negative. These will be used to prove that all work to this point has been correct. Each plate is chemically treated so that the minute dots will attract ink and will repel water. When proofs of these test plates have been printed over each other, a check is made by a supervising craftsman to assure authentic reproduction. Now, another plate-making operator brings in a large sensitized plate on which he will make multiple prints. He will photograph this glass negative for blue, for example, 4 times on the one large plate. He will make the same number of prints of each other color negative on similar large plates. With the individual glass negative and sensitized multiple plate in place in the precision printer, he makes the first exposure. By repeating the subject on these big multiple plates, many reproductions will be made simultaneously in the final printing on the color press. After the first exposure, precision machinery enables the operator to change accurately to the next position. 4 of these large plates are used on a 4-color job, and in this case, the photographer is making 4 repetitions of the subject on each big plate. Extreme accuracy within 1/1000th of an inch is necessary. Now a second exposure is made. When the big plates have received the full number of exposures, they are developed as were the proof plates. This man must have training in chemistry. Chemical treatment makes the part of the surface to be reproduced attractive to ink, but repellent to water. Modern mass production is evident in this huge photo offset press room, making possible reproduction in terms of millions instead of dozens. The pressmen clamp the press plates of our treasure galleons about a large cylinder on a huge rotary press. 4 images on each metal plate, separate plates to pick up ink for each color. They carefully wrap the rubber offset blankets about 2nd cylinders. On 3rd cylinders below, the paper as it is fed through will receive ink from the rubber. Ink fed to metal plates above, transferred to rubber, afterward to paper. The huge press springs into action. Automatic feeding of paper as multiple plates, ink and water rollers, cylinders and paper make their contacts. From metal plate, transferred to rubber offset blanket. From blanket, printed to paper below. Over 3,000 impressions per hour, as the pressman keeps careful check to see that accurate registration and inking are maintained. Other workers will cut the big sheets apart and will mount each picture separately. Faithful reproductions of fine art available to all through the skill of the modern lithographer. The photo offset process, too, is the very life stream of modern commercial art. The plates of the recipe booklet go on another giant color press. Ink offset to rubber and to paper, thousands of copies per hour, each an art piece in its own right, the result of specialized, skilled artists' work, coupled to the mass production of modern machines. Thus, 1,000,000 recipe booklets, effectively presenting their messages to 1,000,000 housewives, tempting uses for fruit flavors, meat product displays in nationwide sales efforts, huge window displays from tiny color photographs, billboards selling a city on elevated transportation, others stimulating service station business, reminding one and all of the approach of a gay season. This rich and versatile outgrowth of writing on stone has contributed enormously to occupation.